go-to organization on this issue, not just in Washington, D.C., but in the media and around the country. We're going to offer compelling justice issues that bring others into our cause. We're going to get it done. We're going to increase membership in our 10-member organizations. We're going to increase membership in those organizations by the thousands. And by the time we get to the end of this decade, by after the 2018 election, there will be 10 open members of Congress who are non-theistic Americans. We are going to achieve that goal, all of us working together. Here's how we're going to get it done. Teamwork and activism. Because, you know, in the secular world, there's been a tendency in the past, shall we say, to have, I don't know, healthy discussions, healthy debate among ourselves. We got to go beyond that, okay? We got to move beyond that. And that's what secular coalition for America is about. No more infighting, moving above and beyond to unite our teamwork. We're going to do unity through policy. When I talk to folks, there might be disagreements, right, about, oh, do we call ourselves atheists, do we call ourselves humanists, do we call ourselves different names? Unity through policy. We are going to help those little children who are endangered by religion. We're going to speak out about parsonage palaces. You know what those are? The multi-million-dollar homes that get the tax deductions for the religious leaders, while somebody who's working in a 501c3 nonprofit for dirt, they don't get that deduction. We're going to speak out about of helping our fellow citizens. We're going to have unity in public policy. That's where we're going to go. We're going to inspire growth in this movement. Because we're going to say, yeah, we can debate about Darwin, because guess what? Darwin's right, the other side's wrong. We're going to talk about changing the culture of America. We're going to make it a better place. We're going to grow the movement by inspiring people to be involved. And we're going to connect emotionally with our fellow citizens. We're going to get there with our fellow citizens so they care about what we're doing. Here's how. 8 tactics leading us to our secular goals. We in Washington, I took this job over a year ago, and we are now working to expand the number of issues that we lobby upon. So we get associated with, okay, we're against that cross on public land on a hill in Southern California, and we should be against that. But I want people to know we're also against child abuse that's religiously based. We want to be associated with that and mark ourselves. So we're going to add that arrow to our quiver, both because it's right, but also because it's a smart strategy. We have increased the hours we're lobbying. I have a full-time lobbyist working for me. I lobby. We're going to get more lobbying hours. As your employee in Washington, we are going to get more lobbying hours done for you in Washington City. We're improving our communications effort. We are framing our issues in a way that go out to the average citizen and really expanding what we do with our literature business. Next, we are having a more robust network. How many people are signed up for action alerts on our website? Raise your hand. So like maybe 30%, the rest of you, don't let me get spanked when I go back to Washington. If not every single one of you. And then you go tell 10 friends. 10 friends here, tell them to sign up for our action alerts at secular.org, www.secular.org. You go sign up, it costs you nothing. We'll take contributions, by the way. That's good. But it costs nothing to get our emails and find out what's happening in Washington. And we're going to have an increased presence on Facebook and Twitter. We're going to expand what we're doing. We're not going to make it some fringe issue, because I don't think what we're talking about is the fringe. Madison and Jefferson are the center of American values. Next is the 50-state strategy. And this is really important, and it's important for people in this room, because we're going to hold a meeting about this tomorrow night. We, by the end of this decade, before this decade is out, we are going to have a secular coalition for California, a secular coalition for Maine, and a secular coalition for Hawaii. It's going to speak out for separation of church and state issues in every single state of the union. I'm proud of our email action alerts, and people respond, and members of Congress care when they get those emails and those letters. But it's not enough. We need people in the district, going to the member of Congress when they're in their home district saying, you got to vote for separation of church and state. You have to vote for acceptance of non-theistic Americans, and that's you. That's you in this room saying, we are willing to put time, put an effort, and help bring America to its true secular self. The next is outreach to broaden our base. We're going to talk to more types of people. We're going to talk to libertarians. We're going to talk to the gay community. We're going to talk to civil liberties community. We're going to talk to women's rights advocates. If there's ever a document that suppresses women, go check out a lot of religious documents. Let's talk about these issues with a broad variety of people. But the next set of people I really want to talk to, and I don't mean to oversimplify, but you know the Joe Sixpack. I think this stereotypical Joe Sixpack, I'm going to go meet him later tonight. Where are we going? Yeah, we're...
Oh. Our first
doctor, or the other girl, another true story, we brought up to our first White House meeting in February. The first time, by the way, that non-theistic Americans had a meeting with White House staff was in February. It was our group this year. And we had a woman named Liz Haywood. Liz Haywood, when she was a girl, her parents were Christian Scientists. They kept like a cookie tray underneath her leg, which had a horrible festering wound. She had pus coming out of her leg for months. She was in horrible, agonizing, screaming pain. She then had her leg fused. And this is a girl who loved to horseback ride, do massage, and all these different things. Her leg fused, and then later she had her leg amputated. And of course, if it had been any secular child, or people of any number of other religions, the child protective workers would have come in and taken the child to the doctor, but not for those with the special rights to medically neglect their children. We're going to talk about those issues to Joe Sixpack, and you know what I think he's going to say? That's wrong. He agrees with us. He doesn't agree with the extremist religious view. He agrees with us. When you talk to the average, everyday, typical soccer mom, I'm going to do everything I can to talk to her about these issues. But seriously, Angelina Jolie is someone who's a secular American. She's done a lot of charity work, and I think she more represents the values of average Americans than does Sarah Palin. And I prefer her. And then we have our public policy summit. Now, I know it's a long way for you folks, but we're having a public policy summit in Washington, D.C. in May 2011. You're all invited. And what this is about is not your typical, which are great. You know, we have fantastic conferences that our 10-member groups put together. That's really good. That's not what this summit is about. This summit is about strategizing with a business plan to change America, to bring it back to its secular roots. We're doing that in May 2011, and it's going to be an interactive leadership role for people who want to come to Washington, D.C. and really be directly involved. It's going to be in a hotel overlooking our nation's capital, because we're going to see it, because that's the building that we're going to change. Next is we have an internship program in Washington. Maybe you know young people who might have an interest in this, but we are creating an internship program so that young people can learn about Washington, get involved in Washington, get experience in Washington, and then become the future leaders. I want people in this room. I want young people to say to themselves, okay, I'm gonna run for a school board. I'm gonna run for the state legislature. I'm gonna speak out for secular values. It's not a coincidence, by the way, what happened in this country. Back in 1970 or so, we saw in America there was much more separation of church and state. But the religious right said, we're going to run people for the school board and the state legislature. And you have to give them credit for their organizational ability. And eventually it ended up where you had a president of the United States who just a few years ago said to the president of France that his Iraq policy was based on the book of Revelations. If they can do that for a cause that's so insidious, we can do something for truth and justice. And that's what we're going to be doing. We need interns to grow into leadership roles in that regard. These are our 10-member organizations. Join them. Sign up. Get involved. And please support our organization. I mean, we do need financial help. That's our situation. You know, the religious right, they are not afraid to tithe. The result of Prop 8 in California, what did it come from? I'll tell you what it came from. Tithing. Money. Money from the religious right saying they are willing to put their money on the line. If you are, we can change America. If you're not, we're not going to. It's that simple. We have to get involved in our organization and make a difference. This is a big vision. Our secular decade is a big vision for our community. But I wanted to show you the plan because plans equal accountability. And it is partly up to me. The buck stops here as the executive director of this organization. I'm your lobbyist in Washington. And I'm also your coalition builder in Washington. So I want you to come 2 years from now and 3 years from now and say, hey, Sean, did you get it done? What did you get done, Sean? I want you to challenge me. But I also want you to challenge you and say that you are going to put your time into a secular coalition for Hawaii or having that organizing meeting tomorrow. And put your time into advocating on federal issues. Let's make a difference. I mean, I made a joke at the beginning of my remarks, but what happened here in Hawaii recently is no joke. In the gubernatorial race, you have to speak out at the federal level, and I encourage you to speak out at the state level as well. So I want to be held accountable, but I want you to hold yourselves accountable for changing America. This is the Secular Coalition for America. This is what we're about, and I have a deep belief that we're going to be able to change this country. I'm really asking your help. I'm asking your involvement, and because I believe it is not something on the fringe, it is our patriotic duty. And thank you so much for taking the time, and I'm happy to answer your questions.